Welcome to the Cryptonomatron, and today I'm doing a review on Essentia ICO. What is Essentia? Well, it's a framework for decentralized data management, taking back control of data from big corporations, decentralizing it, making it more secure, making it more private, making it difficult for hackers to get hold of it. Essentia wants to give you full control over your data, and let's have a look at how it's different from the competitors. So, quick look at the competition. I'm going to single out 5 competitors here because those were the ones that were featured on the Essentia website. So the first one is Civic, and Civic is trying to have a secure identity ecosystem as well. They're all using the blockchain to some extent to have an individual identity and give you back control of your private data. Now, most of these social media companies, especially the bigger ones that you're probably aware of, use your data to sell on to marketers and profit from it. And you have no say whether that happens or not. So a lot of these blockchain-based companies are trying to decentralize and give the owners of the data, that's you, back control. The key is another one, again, identity verification tool in the blockchain. You'll be able to use your own identity for many, many different applications without having to have passwords and have different profiles set up and everything else. You have one single digital identity that does it all for you. Self-Key was another, recently went to ICO as well, doing a similar thing, and more recently Remy, which has just gone on CoinMarketCap, still about 3 cents, and a little bit of a bargain still at the moment. That's not financial advice, but you might want to have a closer look at it. They're trying to do a similar thing as well. And you know, another reason why you'd want to have your data on a decentralized network is it's more secure if it's on a distributed network than a centralized server, as hackers can easily get access to centralized systems, take all the data, and when they do so, they get absolutely everything, and then they can sell it on to bad actors and people that want to pretend to be you or want to rip you off. So the other one is Uport as well. Let's just have a quick look at Uport. This was the final one that was mentioned on the Essentia website, and it's a self-sovereign identity and user-centric data platform. Again, very similar to the other 4 I mentioned. Now, the big difference and the competitive advantage that Essentia has over these guys is Essentia doesn't require anything centralized whatsoever. Now, what I mean by that is when you use these other services, you have to have a mobile device, an app installed on the mobile device, you have to have a phone number, an email address, something that links you, that centralizes you to the network. So Essentia doesn't have that. You sign in using a key, and that is slightly different and more secure than the methods currently available. So what are the problems they want to solve? Well, first off, users don't have any control over the data. So you don't actually own your data. Well, you might own it, but people are using it without your knowledge. So ownership is a very grey area. With Essentia, you will have full control over what you allow companies to access and use. Also, user data is used by service providers without permission for their own profit. So, for example, a social media website, and I'm not going to name names, will use your data, will use your preferences, will use everything they know about you to profit. They'll sell it on to marketing companies, and that's how they make their money. That's how these big companies make their money. And you don't get any of that. You use their services for fun, and really that's the only benefit that you get. But again, it's you know, an ethical question. Should they be using your data without permission? And another major issue is that centralized systems are not secure. They simply are not secure. They have a single point of failure, meaning when a hacker gets access to them, they can steal all the data, and they can, you know, they get it all lock, stock, and barrel, and they've got a single point of failure as well. So if a server goes down, then centralized system is rendered useless. Decentralized distributed networks are much, much more secure, and they don't have a single point of failure as well. As a node can go down, but the network still continues to function. Another problem is users require separate credentials for almost every service. If you think about it, you've got to sign in with a password for everything you do. Ideally, you want to make every password unique, but some of us now have got 100, 200 different websites we have to access using different passwords, and it's just not possible for everybody to remember. So normally what you do is you have a password and then you change it slightly maybe, or you have 2 or 3 passwords probably, and those are all you use. So you still require separate credentials for almost every service that you're accessing. And the Essentia system, basically you'll need one a set of credentials, and that will be all. You can access anything you want. You can do your KYC checks, buy into an ICO, sign up for a whitelist, do whatever you need to do with your digital identity using the same credentials. And another issue that's come to light is that corporations have little or no responsibility once a breach or a hack occurs. So once you lose your data, once the hackers get in, they steal your data, the corporations rarely pay the price for their lapse in security. They have no responsibility, they take no responsibility, they're not punished, and again, you're the one that ultimately loses, not the corporations. So Essentia are trying to build a decentralized data management network, basically, and that's going to allow them to store the data distributed over different nodes, so it will be interoperable. It will be complete as possible with data and with assets as well. And this will belong to the individual, such as yourself, a business, or even a machine or a piece of equipment can have one as well. And this means that you will own your own data, your identity and communications, and you'll be able to allow companies to access the communications, access your identity and access the data so that they can build or use it on their own data management tools, such as identity solutions for KYC checks, etc. So very interesting, very similar to what we discussed in the competitor section, what's gone before, but this will be cross-chain as well. So there are other projects already integrated with Essentia. You can see here, Gnosis, Ethereum, Status, Mysterium, Ether Delta, the decentralized exchange, IPFS, the file storage system, Storage, Aragon, Bitcoin, and Flip.me. So they're already providing this integrated solution as well. And just if I scroll down a little bit more, they want to give users and corporations and their devices full ownership over identity, data, possessions, and personal communication. So that's the idea behind it. Now let's have a look at the market and move on to who they're going to target and how much money they could possibly make. So centralized storage allows data to be hacked very easily, and it's open to attacks, as we've discussed, but the cost might not be familiar to you, and the cost is quite high, $2.1 trillion. It's estimated to hit by 2019. So, this kind of damage affects everybody, but in financial terms, it's 2.1 trillion, and that is a phenomenal amount of money. So you can see how important these decentralized data storage networks could possibly be in the future. Another interesting tidbit from some of the presentations that Essentia provided is that privacy is increasingly being demanded by users as hacks become more and more common and identity theft becomes more and more common. People are wanting more and more privacy, and it gets more and more difficult the more technical devices you use, the more websites you visit, the more phones you've got, and more companies you do business with. So, there is an interesting a graphic here that demonstrates confidence in different sectors, from credit card companies at the top right down to online advertisers who have the lowest confidence from their users, which isn't surprising really. But I'm still quite surprised to see government agencies at the top there, second from the top, and even credit card companies at the top. They really don't have your best interests at heart. Why would they stop you buying cryptocurrency at an all-time low, or Bitcoin at at $6,000 the other week there, if they really had your best interest at heart? But anyway, I digress. So that is an interesting statistic there, and obviously you know, as privacy demands increase, the market for decentralized data networks will also increase as well. More people will demand, you know, control over their own data. So just to give you an idea how much money's involved, in a 2017 identity fraud study done by Javelin Strategy and Research, $16 billion was stolen from 15.4 million US consumers in 2016. So just give you an idea how much money we're talking about here. And of course, with cryptocurrency, you know, it becomes even more important to protect your identity with these digital signatures and protect your data as well. You know, and also just to mention, the data sharing market, the revenue that these companies get from sharing your data with marketers and advertisers is in the billions, possibly trillions. It really is a massive business. And, you know, these companies, companies like Essentia are trying to give you back control over what you allow to be used for profit. So more statistics here showing the market for big data, and it's set to grow to just under $34 billion in revenue in 2017. This year in 2018 it's predicted to go to just under 41 billion, and you can see the trend is upward from here up to 92.2 billion in 2026. So big data is a very large industry indeed, and a lot of companies are making a lot of profit on it. So the blockchain they're using is the Ethereum blockchain. The Essentia platform or framework will be built on top of it, and it will adhere to all the different protocols of Ethereum. And that makes it trustless, trustable, and obviously secure as well. It will be private, which means ultimately only the owner has control. So to explain this, you get what's called an ESS ID. And that will be used for you to control all your data. So it will function similarly to a private key of a wallet, in that if you have that data, then you own everything that's in that wallet. And unless you give that away, nobody else can get control of it. So it's ultimately very, very private. If you've got control over that SID, then nobody else can get control over your data. Another thing, obviously, is decentralized, which means it's always available as well. Doesn't matter if a node on the network goes down, you can always access it. You're truly decentralized. Your data is truly decentralized. And another interesting feature is it's cross-chain, multi-chain, and multi-protocol, meaning it will work with a number of different blockchains. It will be flexible and scalable. Flexibility comes from many, many use cases of it, and scalability from it being able to handle the throughput. It will be privacy focused as well. It is censorship resistant. Obviously, once something's written on the blockchain, it's there forever, meaning it's also persistent and obviously non-corruptible as well. Okay, so it will also be anonymous and encrypted by default, and this means that because you're just using a key to access your data, then it's anonymous. You know, it's not an email, it's not a mobile device, it's not a phone number, it's completely anonymous. It's agent agnostic, meaning it won't matter what you're using the key on, it will still work. It's open source, so developers have full access to it. And it's language agnostic as well, so it can interact with loads of different platforms. It's fault proof, simply because, again, it's an immutable ledger. So, you know, as long as you still hold your key, access to it can be performed at any time, and it's incorruptible. And also, it will be future proof as well. As long as you have the key, the blockchain will be around forever. You can access your data. So what are the use cases for the technology? Well, first of all, management of decentralized identities is one. Secure data management is certainly another. KYC compliancy for financial services, again, you know, even the one that we're probably all more familiar with now is ICOs. Know your customer compliancy. It can be done in seconds using this service. Asset management as well. You can securely manage all your assets with your unique digital ID. And it can be used as a main point of access for decentralized assets and data as well, meaning anywhere you are in the world, you can use the Essentia platform to access decentralized assets and data. Another example of a use case is insurance companies and other external third parties can manage decentralized users, so they don't have to have them on their own centralized database, which poses risk. They can access the Essentia platform and manage decentralized users in that manner, providing, of course, the users have given them permission to access their data. And another interesting use case was Essentia Decentralized GPS system, which allows you to use location as a trigger for a certain event. So if something moved somewhere, or an asset moved, or wasn't where you expected it, could trigger a certain smart contract or an event. So a lot of good and interesting use cases. In the technical white paper, there are dozens of them listed. So go and have a look and see just how flexible and interesting this platform really is. So how it works in a nutshell is much like a wallet. So you're familiar with your private key or your seed words that are used to restore your wallet. Essentially, this is how Essentia works. You get a seed that will restore all your access to the data. So it's immutable and it can't go missing. So everything that you do with your digital identity comes from this seed. If you have the seed, you can then access the Essentia framework from anywhere, from any computer or any mobile that's got the app installed or has the portal to the system. So that's basically how it works. It's very similar to when you use a wallet, in that you can log in using a private key, or in this case a seed, and that generates all your information is held on the blockchain, and you can get access to it in that manner. So that's essentially, in a very simplistic way, how it works. So let's take a look at the token utility now, and this token has quite a lot of good utilities, as I'm just about to explain. First of all, they will be having master nodes. And if you stake enough of the tokens, you will get to be a master node, host a master node if you like, and then you will get the rewards for performing that function. It will also be used to pay fees on the platform. So for anything that it requires, say the gas, then the token will be used to pay the fee. It's also going to be utilized as an anti-spam measure, which means that it will discourage bad behavior on the platform. You'll need to actually, because you need to pay fees, it stops people from just signing up and spamming. It will also be used to pay for additional services or resources above and beyond what are granted for free on the framework. They will also have a generic exchange. So you'll be able to pay for third-party services, for example, or even you'll be able to swap for other cryptocurrency on the framework. Eventually, it'll be used for distributed governance. So if you're a token holder, you will have a say in the way the platform or the framework is run, governed, and in its future as well. Eventually, it will be used to manage the user reputation program, which is a little bit further down the line. And also, importantly, it's used to incentivize and reward users for participation and or resource sharing. So if you share your data, you'll get rewarded. If you share your resources, you'll get rewarded. And if you participate in the framework, you will also get rewarded. I did my usual quick Google, and I couldn't find any red flags on this project whatsoever, or any scam warnings or anything else. Everything about this project looks above board and legitimate. However, if you do know of anything that's untoward about this project, and I'm not just talking about negatives, that token metrics not being what you like, or any other negative aspects of the project, I'm talking about real concerns, let me know below in the comments section. And we're a community here, and we're here to help each other out. Onto the token sale details now, and the date is still to be confirmed. Unfortunately though, USA residents cannot participate in the general crowd sale, nor can those citizens of the People's Republic of China. However, total supply is 455 million ESS, with a 273 million ESS available for the crowd sale. There's no pre-sale as far as I'm aware, and hard cap is set at $32 million. The current exchange rate for the ESS token is 1 Ethereum for 8,000 ESS, but that is subject to exchange rates at the time, and that may change. But at the moment, it makes it approximately 11 cents per token, which is fairly good considering the relatively low circulatory supply this will have. Token distribution is as follows. As I said, total 455 million. You can do the math yourself. 60% to crowd sale, which is 273 million. 10% to founding team, which is just 45.5 million. 10% to advisors. 10% is project reserve held. 5% to team and developers, and 5% to bounties and promotions. And of the 5% for the bounties and promotions, 3% will be for referral payouts. That will be 13.65 million tokens. 0.8 will be for the airdrop. That's 3.64 million. And 1.2% to the bounty campaign, which is 5.46 million ESS tokens. And we'll discuss the bounty campaign very briefly in the next section. The team and developer tokens will be locked for 18 months with a 6-month cliff. And advisor tokens will be locked between 6 months and 1 year. That's dependent on some factors that were not revealed in the material. So I guess some advisors will be locked for 6 and some for a year. And there's also going to be a token burn if they do not meet their hard cap as well. The Essentia bounty campaign is once again being run by Amazix, and again, there are several campaigns to take part in. 1.2% of the total amount of tokens generated during the crowd sale, which will be 5.46 million ESS, or the equivalent of 910 Ether, will be assigned to the bounty pool, and the distribution will be as follows. Twitter gets 5%, translation and moderation bounty 10%, signature 30%, Facebook bounty 5%, content creation 35%, YouTube 2.5%, Telegram advertising 2.5%, Crypto Compare 2.5%, bonus of 5%, and then there's another 2.5% which are to be confirmed. Again, rules to follow. There's a spreadsheet to monitor your participation, and there are different rules depending on what campaign you're taking part in. I will post a link below as per usual. Good luck to those bounty hunters that are taking part. For full disclosure, I will be submitting this video for a bounty. I was quite surprised here because Essentia have an actual paper for their roadmap. Most projects just have a footnote in their white paper or even something on their website, but this is very detailed indeed. I'm not going to bother rattling through every single detail. But I have to say though, before I do say anything more, the presentation, the material here is top notch. The different papers that they've got, the thought that's gone into the material, it really is really well thought out, and it's well put together. They've got the vision here. You can see it's a passion for these guys, what they've done and how they've set it all up. So yeah, commendable. My only complaint is that the website is a bit laggy, just because it is, it's so intense. I think it just uses too much memory for my computer to handle. But again, back to the roadmap. Everything is detailed, what software they're going to be working on, hardware, and what they're going to do with the general public as well. They've even listed, community engagement bonuses, bounty campaigns and meetups and stuff like that as part of their roadmap, just to let you know that they have their eye on that as well. Because again, when you're running a project, when you're running an ICO, being in the public eye and how you deal with the public is very important. It's sometimes overlooked by a lot of other projects. They think that just running a bounty campaign or having a PR company manage them is all fine and well, but I like to see, again, it's attention to detail, and this project has it in many, many areas. Anyway, it goes right through Q2 2018, and you can see how detailed it is. Again, I'll be here for an hour just rattling off, so I won't bother. Again, they really have got a lot of attention to detail here, going right through to 2019 and beyond. Let's have a very brief look at the team now, and it's certainly a passion amongst them. If you read through the material, you do get that impression. They even say it themselves, they're very, very passionate about what they're doing here, and I think it actually shines through in the material and in the project and the way it's presented. You really get a sense that they've put their heart and soul in this, and I like that because it shows me that they're serious. They have offices in Amsterdam, that's their headquarters, and Ukraine as well. The team is composed of 4 lead members. Mirko is the product lead, Matteo is the project lead, Vladimir operations lead, and then somebody that doesn't want to be named is the blockchain and architecture lead. And then there are team members under them, and they really have ticked all the boxes here. They've got a very, very extensive team, a lot of experience there, software development, marketing, etc., etc. I won't single anybody out here because I think this team is more than capable of implementing without a shadow of a doubt. Advisory body, only 3 people on the advisory body. Jan Marsen, who was responsible for strategic sales at Motorola, Eric van der Stack, who is an advisor to European Commission and a certified business coach, so he's going to bring the expertise for a startup and some entrepreneurial experience and hints and tips as well. And Francesco Fusetti, he raised 19 million with AidCoin, so he's already done his part for raising money in blockchain and ICOs, so he's got the experience to come to the table there and advise this project. So it really does tick all the boxes for me. It might not be, in terms of recognizable names, the strongest team I've ever come across, but certainly it is a very, very strong team indeed. The only information I could find on partnerships is with a crypto exchange called FlipMe, which is interesting. I'd never heard of them before, but they are going to integrate the exchange service into the Essentia framework, which could be very interesting indeed. And it means that you'll be able to, much like Exodus uses Shapeshift, you'll be able to use the Essentia wallet to use FlipMe to swap your cryptocurrencies, change your cryptocurrencies. So that's a fantastic little feature, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out in the alpha, if indeed they do implement it. Not exactly a partnership, but they have joined the Bitcoin Association Switzerland. Essentia are a member, and of course, that will give them access to ideas, opinions, and the thoughts and the musings of the membership of the Bitcoin Association. So they've also sponsored another couple of conferences as well, including the Bitcoin Conference of North America, I believe. So they've been quite active in in the community and in the public eye as well, which is important. It draws attention to the project and also spreads the word. Community support for this project looks like it's growing rapidly, and it's reasonably supported on social media. They're on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, LinkedIn, Medium, where they have their blog, and also Bitcoin Talk Forum as well. If we just quickly look at their Twitter, they've got 3,504 followers. They are a legit company. They've got 97% audit score on Twitter Audit, which is good to see. They're not buying followers. And they have 3,058 members on their official Telegram chat as well. So I would encourage you to go and join their social media, be part of it. get the latest news. And they are active on social media. They've got a lot of blog posts that you can read through, a lot of interesting stuff on there, how the project's going, where it's at, what stage it's at, etc, etc. So yeah, very interesting and very reassuring to any potential investors as well. So, verdict time, and let's first of all, as usual, look at the positives that I see in this ICO. So first of all, it's very disruptive to the industry. Big data is big business, and this is going to change the way these companies have access to your data. And ultimately, that's going to prove very disruptive to their big money. Number two, I can see this as a passionate project for the team. I really enjoyed doing this review, and one of the reasons why is because of the amount of effort that's been put into the material, and you can see that it's a passion because it shines through when you're reading the material, when you're going through all the papers. You can see it's a passion for the guys that are behind this. Number three, presentation material is excellent. Just what I was saying there, you know, you can find all the answers either on their blog, in their white paper if you're technical, you know, in their business plan, their presentations. It's all there, and the quality of it is very good indeed. Number four, this solves real world problems of data ownership, privacy, and security as well. We know that the centralized model of data storage is inadequate. Hacks are a problem, and again, this goes a step to solving these problems. Number five, this has competitive advantages over its rivals. The main one, and probably the biggest one, is that it can be completely anonymous. The fact that you're accessing it with a private key, or a seed as they call it, and you're not using an email or your phone number or your cell phone, is an incredible step forward, and that gives it really, you know, I can't stress enough, it gives it a massive competitive advantage over the rivals in this sector. Number six, this has good token metrics, a token price of 11 cents and a fairly low supply of 455 million with a lower circulatory supply when it goes in the exchanges, gives this some, you know, some room for maneuver. So the metrics here are quite acceptable. Number seven, this is building quite a reasonable community support behind it. It's relatively low on hype at the moment, but I think that's going to change before the ICO. Number eight, the token utility on this project is a winner. Simple as that. It has a real use case for the token. It's not just been tacked onto the side of a project so they can run an ICO and extort money from you know, unaware investors. Number nine, as we discussed in the tech section, this has the real use cases for the blockchain technology. There's a lot of applications for this particular technology. Number 10, another positive, the team is diverse and it's capable as well. It might not have the brand names of the Charlie Schrems or the Roger Veers or some of the other big names in Bitcoin from the early days, but make no mistake, this team is capable and definitely capable of implementing. Number 11, penultimately, it has a very complete roadmap and vision. They know exactly what they're doing. You just have to look at the roadmap paper to see that. And, you know, it's a fairly long roadmap, but there's a lot to do. And the vision's there, which is the key thing. And number 12, it's an open source project. It's going to attract people to develop on it and integrate it with their dApps and their platforms too. So there are a few negatives, as usual. Every project has them, and let's discuss them now. First of all, I think this project has a higher hard cap than I would have liked. Obviously, they need 32 million to implement what they want to do, but it's higher than I would like from an investor standpoint. You know, I would like it to be a bit lower, and that would possibly give it a little bit more desirability and maybe a little bit room for maneuver when it goes on the exchanges. The fact that this is a very technical project, and if you read the white paper instead of any of the other material, it might put you off, and it might put a lot of people off because they might look at it, not understand it, and you know, it might just be a little bit too technical for some. But again, there is other material there that you can read if you're not of a technical nature that will explain it a little bit better for you. So don't be you know, don't be put off by that. Number 3, yeah, this could do with more hype. Let's hope it builds and gets some before it goes to the ICO, and certainly before it goes to the exchanges if you're investing in it. Number 4, unfortunately, the alpha version that we want to test or just have a look at is not ready yet. And yeah, that's pretty much the biggest negative I have about this project. It would be so good to see an alpha before the ICO. Number 5, a minor niggle, and it really annoyed me when I was doing the review. The website is very laggy for some reason. It seems to use a lot of my computer's memory, and I've got a pretty fast PC here, and it was just laggy and annoying to scroll. So yeah, that's a minor complaint, and I'm nitpicking, but it's a negative. And another negative, there's no smart contract yet available for the crowd sale, and no GitHub again yet. And now I did ask the Telegram admins, and they said that they're going to have a GitHub and it's going to be announced. And because this project is open source, it will probably require having a GitHub, so we can look forward to that. But again, it hasn't yet been implemented, and it might be wise to just put some smart contract or some code up there before the ICO. So aside from that, not many major negatives with this project at all. So the final verdict, I think it takes digital identity, security and privacy a step further. It takes it a level away from the previous projects, even ones that have just launched from ICO. This is going in the right direction. It's taking the technology to another level. And as such, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. It's only let down by the fact that we can't see the alpha yet, and they have no code on the GitHub really. The other things are a minor concern, but these problems can be ironed out before or during the ICO, so I think this could be a real winner, this project. I think it could be quite a canny investment, as we would say in Scotland. Will I be investing? Yes, I believe I will be investing in this project because I believe in this for the longer term. I think this project has advantages over the rivals already, and I can see it gaining ground over them. And you know, it's got a lot of use cases. The project is obviously a passion, and aside from a few minor negatives, I don't really have many problems with this. It would have scored a lot higher if it had the prototype available for us to see, and also if they had the code and the smart contract for the ICO already up there. So yeah, it's a winner, this one, I think, guys, and I'm backing it. Hope you enjoyed the review. Thank you as usual for watching. I do appreciate all your likes, comments and subscriptions and everything else, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. It just you know, last thing to do is obviously read out that stupid disclaimer again, which is that I'm not a financial advisor and this is only for entertainment purposes. And you know, I don't give out financial advice. These reviews are for entertainment only. If you are going to invest in any ICOs, please be aware that they pose inherent risk. It's not a guarantee of making any money whatsoever. You can quite easily lose money, and if you're going to invest in anything, guys, never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always invest wisely and always invest cautiously, and always do your own due diligence and always do your own research. Don't listen to people on social media like myself. Don't listen to us. You know, we only have opinions and we voice them on social media. We're not authoritative figures on this kind of thing, so you know, always bear that in mind. And that is about it, I think. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.